Do you like to binge watch TV? Did you know you could binge listen to podcasts? Head over to electronicmediacollective.com, where they have podcasts for days. You like podcasts about wrestling? They have that. Do you like podcasts about TV and film? They have that. Do you like podcasts about horror? EMC has that too. Do you like comedy? Do you like books? Guess what? They've got you covered. Head over to electronicmediacollective.com. Pick your favorite podcast today.
Hi, this is John Dugan, Grandpa from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're listening to Moose's Monster Mash. Keep mashing.
You're listening to Moose's Monster Mash. Welcome, Horror Hounds, to another all-new episode of Moose's Monster Mash. I'm your host, Moose. This month, we have a very special guest, and it's a very special episode because it's a promotional episode for Grand Comic Fest in Grand Island, Nebraska, the weekend of April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And joining me this month is somebody who he's definitely done a wide array of things, whether it be a personal stunt double for somebody that we'll get into here in a little bit, or appear in Pirates of the Caribbean, or I don't know, portray one of the most iconic killers on screen from, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Let's not put it off any longer. Please welcome Leatherface himself, Bob Elmore.
What's going on? Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
So, I guess the first question, aside from how you doing, because it seems like an easy one. Well, let's start there. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing really good. I'm having a great time. I'm retired now. My wife and I, we travel. In fact, we're getting ready to go to Cancun for a while, and we like to cruise, and so that's what we do. We really don't do anything else but kind of that. We're slowing down a little bit because we're getting a little old, but that's okay.
I look forward to those days.
Absolutely.
So, where did the stunt doubling start? Well, just stunts in general. Where did that stem from? Because, I mean, you have to admit that kind of takes that takes a special class of person to want to be a stunt a stunt person in general.
Well, that's probably, other than acting, one of the hardest professions to get into and make a living at it. It's so hard to do. But I started out at an amusement park in California called Knott's Berry Farm, and we did the Wild West Stunt Show. So we were doing that and street shows out on the asphalt, and we were on stage. And got to do a commercial for Knott's, and I got my Screen Actors Guild card out of that. Now, I got my card, and I didn't get a job. It was 2.5 years later. Then I got my first. I played a part of all things, and I had a full beard, and I had hair then. And it was Remington Steel, and it was a 2-day job, so it was a lot of money back then. And that's how I got into the business. But in the 2.5 years, I studied. I took jiu-jitsu. I took jiu-jitsu for like 10 years to learn how to fall on hard ground or concrete without killing myself. I did that. And then we rode bikes. We drove our cars on a Salt Lake to do car drags and horses and rappelling and just everything else. And always practicing movie fights. So by the time I got a job, I knew what I was doing. And I took all that prep in order to do that. And eventually I got into I played myself a lot. I was always the big guy who got killed or beat up every single time.
It's insane. I mean, how's your body these days?
Everything you do in your younger years, everything, eventually catches up to you, and it has. I mean, I've had one back operation. I think I'm going in for another one. I have arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis everywhere in my body. But that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I have a nice retirement from them, which again, like I said, it's hard to make a living. It's even harder to get a retirement. So I did pretty well, and I'm happy with what I did. Would I do it over? Probably yes. Almost got killed a couple times, but that's all part of the job. That's what you're there for. And I got to meet a lot of different. I've been all over the place, all over the world, and met so many people. The love of my life, Maureen O'Hara. I fell in love with her when I was doubling John Candy on a movie called Only the Lonely, and stuff like that you just would never do in your ordinary life. It's very unusual, but it's so gratifying, and I got into that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday night they're doing a film there, and I think it's Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first job I did for Double John Candy on that. And then I went on from there.
No kidding.
I did all kinds. I did 6 movies for John. I doubled Paul Sorvino in movies and television series. John Goodman, Mike Starr. Oh, gosh. Who else? And then, like I said, I played myself. I was the executioner of Pirates 1 and 3, which... me and Johnny Depp,
That's it. You got to hang. You got to hang Johnny Depp.
I got to hang with him. We would be, BSing with each other and get yelled at because we're supposed to be paying attention to what's going on. It was like, okay. So, and then I got a nice little fight with him, and then Orlando Bloom, and again, so many different people. Did a movie doubling John called what was it called? Nothing But Trouble, and it was Dan Aykroyd played a character and directed the movie, and it was so bad, but it did what he had to do, and but John's part, he had 2 parts. He was a brother and a sister, and John got dressed up as the bride. And I get a call and says, you got to come down to Universal. And I said, okay. So I showed up. He goes, here, we're going to do this. I'll put you in the movie. And he had me get dressed as a bridesmaid. And, through the whole thing. Universal's wardrobe, makeup and hair, and so on and so forth. And I called my late wife at the time, and I said, hey, you got to come down here with the kids and see this. You're not going to believe it. And they did. And my son knew my voice, but he didn't know who I was because I was dressed up like this ugly lady. And we took a picture. It's a one-of-a-kind picture. There was only 2 copies of me. One was for John and one was for myself. And it's him and myself and my 3 kids are standing there. My oldest daughter's holding John's bouquet. My middle daughter was holding my bouquet. And my poor little son, you see the look on his face, it's like he doesn't know what's going on whatsoever. So that was a very, very neat, unique thing that we had to do. One of the things I had to do for him.
Oh, man.
I was an ugly woman, and I go, good God. Well, I saw pictures of my aunt, and that's what it looks like.
You too? I dressed up as a woman a couple years for Halloween, and I was looking at them, and yeah, I look like my aunt. Yeah,
it's crazy. When I had my height, I think I'm shrinking a little bit. But I was almost 6'3", 285, very, very strong, very quick. That's why I got so much work, because I was really quick being so big. But looking at it, my parents were, my dad, I think, was 5'8", my mom was 5'2" or something like that, and I kept saying, you guys adopted me, you can tell me, I can take it, no problem. And found these old pictures, and there I am, my 2 aunts, and one of them's name was Bertha, of all things. And I go, okay, nice to see it. Yeah.
What was it like doubling on, because you said Spaceballs was the first time that you did double work for John Candy. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was, I was asked by the stunt coordinator, and he goes, can you do 2 doors are going to close from top, from the top and from the bottom, come up and close. He goes, can you run and do a forward roll on the other side? I go, yeah, I think so. So I went down the old MGM, and they had this thing is they had me go over these chairs. I did a forward roll and popped back up on my feet, and the guy goes, "Great, you're great." Well, I went in, and now I go into makeup, and it's there's John Candy sitting in the chair, and they got me made up, and we looked so much alike that I'd be standing around the set, somebody come up to me and start talking to me like it was John. Then I have to stop and say, "Hey, I'm not John, I'm Bob, I'm his double." So blah, blah, blah. Now, get on the show, we start working, and Mel Brooks is the director. And one of the things I had to do is I had to carry all this luggage up a ladder. They were going from Vespa's tip to the Winnebago. And he says, "I'll go halfway up, turn around and give this line." He told me the line. I said, "Okay." So now, in front of everybody, and everybody was there. And I go up, I turn, I face the camera, and I go, the line was, "You don't smell farts in space." So I finished it up, came back down, and Mel Brooks, he goes, "Bob, it's a good thing you're a stuntman because you never make it as an actor." I go, "Okay." Okay.
Oh,
make sure the check's good.
God bless him.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. But he was such a nice guy. He was so nice. He took my oldest daughter and took her around and introduced her to everybody. And he got to sit up front and right by the camera, as they were filming and all kinds of stuff like that. Again, another very unique opportunity that wouldn't have, you wouldn't have been able to do any other time if I wasn't doing this kind of business.
No, I mean, being John Candy's personal, basically, his personal stunt double for countless movies. I mean, that's a hell of a notch in your belt.
Well, it was, very good. I did so much more for John than a stunt double. And he liked the fact because we were the same height and our shoulders the same width of the shoulders. And I had to wear a belly pad because he was just really big. And he hated to run. He couldn't run because his legs were so small. And he just hated it. He carried a lot of weight. But so I would do that. And I was enough of a double that they could shoot behind me. And he didn't have to do it, which is fine by him, too. So it was, I did a good job. Had a good time, like I said. And, I did a movie with, what's his name? Crap. The karate guy. Shoot. Too many bullets to the head. Here he goes. I don't know. I'm going to remember it later, and I'll tell you about it then.
We'll save it for the convention.
I'm going to have to make some notes because, like I said, who knows how many concussions I've had because they didn't count them. They didn't, you get a little dinger and you shake your head and you're down the road. Unless you were breaking a bone or something, you didn't stop. You didn't, you had to continue on. That's all part of, part of the job. So I just, like I said, I don't know. And again, all the stuff you do when you're young catches up to you.
Oh, yeah.
And not that I'm really, really bad, but like that instant right there where I can't remember who a certain person was, and it'll come to me, but it takes a little bit to do that. But, all in all, I do it all over again, like I said.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those where, you're end of the day, you're battered and you're broken, but you wouldn't give it up for everything in the world. I mean,
no. I mean, who can say that they were, professional stuntman for almost 30 years? And like I said, I have a nice retirement from the Screen Actors Guild, so it's very nice. I do grow well right now.
What was your favorite project to work on?
Oh, the most fun I had, and this was a Candy movie, was Who's Harry Crumb? Who's Harry Crumb? It was filmed in Vancouver, Canada, and that's the one I almost got killed on. Because I had to do they made a rig out of, it was the old style loading ramp that you would go up into a jet. And you'd walk up the stairs from the ground up. And the top of the stairs was about 45 or 50 feet, from the bottom. And the gag was to go underneath the wing, act like you got hit by the wing, and fall down the stairs. And that's okay. So we on time of the shoot, I did it, and I did everything as 100%. So I took the hit, threw myself backwards, hit the stairs I had one hit, and then I was down on the bottom. And the camera operator jumped out in front of it. Now, almost wrecked myself on the first one. So now I have to do take two. So I had a little talk with him, and I told him, if you jump out in front of me, again, so I'm going to take you around the corner there and beat the crap out of you. So, take two, hit the hit, threw myself backwards, hit one time again, and landed right in front of the camera again. And that was it. So now I had the paramedics take me off to the side because I thought I broke my neck. And after time where years and years and years later, taking x-rays, I had a doctor come up to me and says, "Hey, did you know you broke your neck?" I go, "No, you're kidding." He goes, "Oh, yeah, it's healed over, but yeah." Well, there you go.
Wow. That goes back to the just, shake it off and keep walking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I broke my wrist on Texas Chainsaw, so I had to work with a broken wrist for the whole movie, and I would do what I had to do, come back, put ice on it because it would swell up. And I did that until we were finished. So that one was that was a lot of fun. And it was 110 degrees every day, 100% humidity every day, about 150 to 160 degrees on set, and they couldn't cool it down anymore. So every breath that you took hurt. So that's what we were working under. We as a stunt team, we worked 7 days a week because we would go in on Sunday and prep for Monday, so we didn't have to do it on Monday. So we had everything, we were ahead of everybody. But geez, man, we had people going out to buying us underwear because we couldn't get our clothes washed. Crazy.
Oh, yeah. So let's jump into Texas Chainsaw. How'd you end up landing Leatherface?
Well, I went back as a stunt double for Bill Johnson. That's what I was going to do. And we did the opening scene on the bridge. I think that was one of the first things we did. And we did it once. No problem. And we went back and saw dailies, and we had to go do it again because it was too dark. And so now we did that. That's why I broke my wrist. So now we're on, and we're doing a thing where Leatherface meets Stretch. So Leatherface jumps kind of a tube, here's the crap out of Stretch, and now we're going to run down the tube. He's going to chase her, and I'm all done. Shoot, I'm ready to get out of there because it's so flipping hot, and I'm getting out. Going back to the trailers, and I hear, Bob, come on back to set. So I have to go back to the set. Okay. Oh, I'm going, well, I don't know what I did. So I'm always in trouble, so here we go. And they go, well, Bob, you got to do these runs. I said, why? They go, this is close up on Leatherface. That's your guy. Well, Bill couldn't lift his chainsaw over his head. So I ended up doing that. And then he got sick, so I ended up doing something else. And then he didn't like the violence of it. So, again, I ended up doing 98% of the movie. He did 2 or 3 close-ups is all Phil did in the whole thing. So I did Chainsaw Love, everything in the record studio, just everything, all over. And he, like I said, he did like 3 close-ups. So 98% of the movie is me. Now, he goes, and he told me before, he says, I'm the credited actor. I said, yeah, you are. I go, but you didn't do anything. And if you think you did, name them off and let's see. And he couldn't do it, wouldn't do it. So that's Bill. So then I ended up doing all that. I was working double contracts for weeks, and I made a lot of money. That was John Moyo was the stunt coordinator. He made them pay me, so I was acting. And again, like I said, I'm not an actor, so it was so hard to do, and I had everybody trying to help me get through all that.
It's an insane story.
And all Toby Hooper did was
It's crazy.
But Dennis Hopper was a gem. He was such a nice guy, man. He was still getting loaded every day. That's before he got cleaned up, but he was just a nice guy. Yeah. I can talk about him because everybody's dead almost. Him and Toby Hooper, lunch, we'll go to Toby's trailer. And, you've seen these scenes where, somebody opens the door and smoke barrels out of it like this. Unbelievable. That was every week, every lunch. They would come, open the door and they'd come out and it was foul, smelling smoke. And it'd be higher than kites. And that's what they did every day.
Let's say I've heard similar stories from a couple other people.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite behind the scenes story.
The golf course one day, he took off. They had to go find him and come back because he was in a scene. Yeah. But like I said, that was before he got cleaned up. So now he got cleaned up after that.
I mean, it was the 70s, 80s. You got to have fun, right?
You know, everybody was hot.
Oh, that's a blast.
A lot of stories, man. Just a lot of stories.
So,
I did Chainsaw Love with Caroline Williams and scared the crap out of her.
It's probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
You know, filming in the record studio with her in the ice tub, and I'm working the chainsaw up her crotch, you know, and then afterwards I'm getting ready to get out of there, and Toby he's in the ceiling up there, and he's yelling at me, and I'm going, I don't know, what do you want me to do? He goes, well, act like you're fucking her, that's what I want. I go, okay, got it.
I say, like, two almost, like, we saw a more human side of Leatherface than we did in the original. And so, yeah, especially in Chainsaw Love, you get that, like, very hormonal teenager, like, essence style of Leatherface. And just, like, it captured, it captured it perfectly. And then, to hear you talk that, you're not an actor and all this, it's like, well, fooled me.
You don't know who's behind the camera. My gosh. I had Toby, who was going nuts, and then John Moyle, he's directing me. He's telling me, giving me things to do, but there's a lot of stuff in there that I just did, off the cuff, and it worked. So I'm happy about that. But I don't profess to be an actor whatsoever because I know it's hard to do. You got to have that in you. I was just lucky enough to be able to do things physically that people enjoyed. That's all. So that was a good double. And then when I played myself, I played it to the hilt.
Oh yeah. Now I've handled some chainsaws. How many times? And how heavy was it to do the chainsaw over the head and, the iconic, like, Leatherface, I guess, victory pose?
Right. Well, the chainsaw at the time, it was the biggest one they made, was 74 pounds. Well, when I did that,
that's a little kid.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I was very, very strong. So that was not a real big deal to me. I mean, it was tiresome, yeah. At the end of the day, it was just, and you're exhausted. So that's one of the reasons why Bill couldn't do it, because he couldn't lift the chainsaw. And I was very lucky in that aspect of it. But it was crazy. And I had to buy some water skiing gloves. What I got. Because the oil from the chain, the motor, everything was live on the chainsaw, except that they dulled the teeth down.
Yeah.
And we had from on set, because we do a fight, and we're popping chains, and so cut, we'd get another one started going, and on and on and on. And in the movie, you can see a couple chains come off. I was watching closely, but yeah, there were a couple that, came off during the shoot. They did take it out, but it was crazy. And then after I broke my wrist, was trying to deal with his chainsaw cutting into the Mercedes, but it hurt those two guys in the Mercedes, and I just tweaked it the wrong way, and I heard the snap, and and then my wrist snapped, and we had to stop. And one more scene on that at that night was, and Tom Morgan was there, who was another professional stuntman who did all kinds of stuff. He put on Leatherface, and he did the very last scene on the bridge.
Rewatching too, and just watching the franchise, and it's interesting. You would think Leatherface would be the star of the franchise, but he's not. it's really the saw.
Mm-hmm.
The chainsaw is the star.
The saw is family.
Yeah. It's like there's this whole franchise built around an inanimate object. It's phenomenal.
Crazy, because there's been, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many, Leatherface ones are. But it's all dealing with the saw.
Yeah,
and there was one.
The tie-through is always the saw.
Yeah, always. And there was a gentleman who I can't remember his name. He was on the Netflix one, and it was so bad. And until the very end, when he cut the lady's head off, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And Gunnar Hansen, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, he was in the original, and they asked him to come back. And he asked for the amount of money he wanted for the job, and they wouldn't go for it because they screwed everybody in part one. Financially, they were just so screwed over, and so they wouldn't go for it. And that's when he got Bill Johnson had these really buggy eyes, and he was a big guy, and that's how he got the part. But then again, he didn't do anything in the movie, so what are you going to do?
Right. In your impressive career, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned that you would like to pass on to future stunt performers and actors?
People ask me that. They say, well, I want to be an actor. I said, okay, good, go act. Nowadays, you can use your phone, and you can film a scene, and you can use that to reach out to agents and stuff like that. Or community college, community theater, which is another good one. Just to get your chops, you have to learn. You have, and I did this all the time, preparing myself. But, again, like I said, jiu-jitsu afforded me the ability to not get killed alive by falling, and so we almost 11 years. So I became a third degree brown belt, one step to a black belt. And so I did that, and like I said, it's preparation. And again, go back to myself, 2.5 years before I was given a job, and in that 2.5 years, I did everything you could imagine. Besides keeping physically fit, is learning the business, how to do studio fights, and I had to learn how to do it left-handed because you never know when a right-hand punch won't work.
Yeah,
it all depends on what the camera. So it's all preparation, and it's consistently doing that. And it's the same thing for acting. You have to consistently go and do this stuff. And if you find that this is a drag, you're in the wrong business. You've heard so many times about people, actors who did everything in the world before they got a shot. But when they got a shot, you have to know what you're doing when you get that punch shot. Because that'll break you or make you, one or the other. And it's the same thing in the stunt community. You got to know how to do this stuff. You get one shot, and that's it. So I tell everybody, be persistent. And it could be anything, makeup artists. And I had a little girl go up to me asking that. I said, well, make yourself up. You have a mirror. Do that yourself. Take some pictures, and go to YouTube or go on online and find in your local area, who maybe it's a makeup artist, or maybe there's a little production company, and you go in, and like I say, just it's persistence in looking for work, and the persistence in making yourself ready for work. Because you're going to get a shot. I don't care. It may take you years to do it, but you will get a shot, and that's all. It all depends on that one shot.
Nice. So, you said you're retired. Do you do any sort of anything outside of traveling and conventions these days?
That's it. Huh? Like I said, we like to travel. My wife and I are going in May to Cancun, and then we're going to New Orleans, I think, in July for a week. And that's what we do. We prepare to go to travel.
Nice.
And that's what we enjoy. And then doing conventions, it affords us that much more as far as, traveling and all that. We've got stuff we're coming up in 24 already. And, we're not looking out too far out, but we are trying to figure out, we're going to do a big trip before we get too old we can't do anything. And so we're going to do something. We haven't decided yet, but we're working on that. But again, I like going to these conventions because I like meeting people. I've got some outstanding individuals in all my travels. And it's so nice to talk to people about this stupid little movie. And so many people, it's more popular now than it was. Absolutely.
Well, and you have more than just the one stupid little movie. You have plenty to talk to people about. So I'd imagine you get a wide, array of fan
I get
bases.
a wide range of questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's say, which leads me to the one thing I'm really looking forward to when you come here is I will be hosting, me personally, will be hosting your panel at Grand Comic Fest. So we get to continue this conversation live in person.
Absolutely.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Those are always fun. I mean, I don't care if you get one person in there or hundreds and hundreds of them. And got some very unique questions I've had, stuff like that, and I love talking about it. So that's great by me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just said you have such a rich filmography that there's so much that can be dug into, and I would imagine concussions, notwithstanding, there's plenty stories that can come from said movies.
I did a lot of Married with Children episodes. I think 12 or 14 of them over the years. And those were always fun. There was always a fight in a bar or something, and I got to do that. And I was a pink lady on the big football team, stuff like that. So Married with Children. I did original A-Team. Got in a fight with Mr. T. So, I mean, on and on and on. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff your IMDb doesn't even have listed. So
no, it does not.
Yeah,
it doesn't have a lot of the TV. I started out just doing TV. I mean, that was the thing going on because there was a lot of action shows in there. Early, and so that's what I was, doing a lot of. Like I said, Remington Steel was my first gig, and I played somebody's boyfriend who gets in a big fight with Remington Steel and then ends up dead in a car. So, and I took that job. I just got out. The day before I had my knee operated on, and I had a soft cast on my leg, and I went the next day to go work on that show. So, so I can't turn it down. That's the first one. So
right.
I went, and it worked out.
So yeah, I mean, it goes back to know when to take your shot. You get one chance, and
yeah, I get the phone call, and I go, yeah. I hung up, and my wife goes, "What's going on?" So I'm working on Remington Steel tomorrow. She goes, "He just got out of the hospital." So yeah, I'm going, and I did.
Ironically, that's kind of how your appearance at Grand Comic Fest went about. I'm sitting at home, and your agent called and said, "Hey, Bob's available. I know it's close to the show, but I was like, let me call you right back." And then I ran it through the rest of the board. They hit him up. I was like, "Send me the contract now." It's like, we will promote it like crazy. Come on, just send me the paperwork. Let's go.
I appreciate it very much. I meet you and talk to everybody, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, go see Spaceballs on Friday night.
So yeah, opening ceremonies I think are going to be really fun.
Absolutely.
So, listeners, if you are in the Midwest or just want to come out for the weekend, that's Grand Comic Fest in Grand Island, Nebraska, April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Opening ceremonies the night of April 21st. You can find out more on Grand Comic Fest on Facebook. Get your tickets at grandcomicfest.ticketleap.com. Just $10 a day, $15 for a weekend pass. Kids 12 and under are free. You can meet Bob. You can meet a couple other Monster Mash alum like Wyatt Weed, Mark Atchison. Tons of great guests are going to be there this year. I mean, we have Wesley Ure and Kathy Coleman from Land of the Lost. It's a mind-blowing lineup this year, guys. Come buy your tickets. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Absolutely. Make sure everybody comes out and says hi.
As always, listeners, you can find me and other great podcasters over at electronicmediacollective.com. Or if you just want to look for me, you can find me over at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Moose Media Inc. Bob, this has been a blast, and I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
So, come out, come see us, come hang out, and...
Absolutely. Come on and say hi.
You know, for those who miss it, we'll have Bob back on sometime, and we'll rehash out the conversation you missed live. But...
Yep. Anytime for you. Absolutely. Just let me know, and I'm there.
Until next time, Horror Hounds. Mash on.
This has been Moose's Monster Mash. Come back for more chills and thrills if you dare.